Great. So, welcome to today's walkthrough of Atera solution for MSPs. As I already introduced myself, maybe some of you guys missed out on it. I'm Danielle, I'm the technical onboarding manager here at Atera, and I'm happy to be here. So the agenda for today, we'll try and understand a little bit on how to create customers. We'll understand Atera's agents, how they can be installed. We'll go over thresholds, alerts, configuration policies, really the RMM part of Atera, including IT automations and patch management. Then we will go into the PSA part of Atera. As you guys know, Atera is an all-in-one platform that allows you to be able to both remote and monitor and manage your devices, but also for you to be on top of your tickets and billing. So we will go over PSA, which includes the tickets and billing. We'll go a little bit about reports, and we'll have some open Q&As. We might have open Q&As in between the RMM and PSA. We'll kind of get started and see how everything flows. Cool. So I do want to quickly mention just our available resources, as it is something that we invest a lot of time and effort into, so that you guys have all these resources available to you at any time, and they can help out with setting up your accounts, getting things started and running. So we first off have our support team that is available on live chat 24/7. For those of you who haven't used it, I'll explain how you can reach out to our support team through the platform. We also have our help center, which includes a lot of knowledge base articles. These knowledge base articles are very, very knowledgeable. They're very detailed with step-by-step and screenshots. So I do highly recommend to go over those when configuring and when you're not sure. Of course, in addition to our support team, we have our blog, we have Atera's community where you can kind of have discussions with other Atera users. And, at the end of the day, all IT technicians have stuff that they can share within the community. So feel free to add things on there as well. And we also have our webinars, just like we are doing today. Feel free to sign up to any webinars. You also can view any past webinars as well from our website. So we will get started with the platform itself. Are there any questions so far? Anything that comes up in the Q&A? Okay, no questions for now. Cool. So the first thing that I do want to start off is actually the dashboard. Once you have the system up and running and you have everything on the platform, when we're talking about the agents and having all the threshold profiles and automation profiles and ticketing and alerts, the dashboard is a great place to start because it really can give you an overview of everything that's going on with your devices, with your alerts, with your tickets. So the dashboard, you have all these little widgets. You can change around the order. You can remove some of them. So this is very, very customizable. I mentioned just a few minutes ago about our help center and our support team. So you will find here at the bottom right the question mark icon. If you click on it, this window opens. From here, you really have access to all the resources that I mentioned before. You have the help center, you have the community, any product updates. Feel free to share ideas and feedback. If you click on it, it'll actually take you to this page where you can add any ideas, or you can upvote any feature requests that other users have added. I will say that our product team does take a look at this page, and they get a lot of ideas that are included in our roadmap. And the way for you to start a live chat with the support team is just by clicking on that little window. Yep, this start live chat. We also have our AI. This includes just a lot of information. So you can type in here how to install an agent, for example, and it will direct you to the knowledge base article or any other information regarding that topic. Let's just give it a few seconds. By the way, this is available to all customers, even if you don't have our AI package. Just one more second. There we go. and it really can give you step by step. So this is a great resource as well. Cool. So after we looked at the dashboards, I do want to actually start off with the customers. So this is the list of the existing customers. This is our demo account, by the way. So, not everything might look the way that it looks for you guys, but pretty much most of it will. Whenever you would like to create a new customer, you have a few ways of doing it. You can either do it using the new customer button, which is just manually entering all the information, which we will do in just a few minutes. But you also have the option to import customers. If you click on import customers, it will take you to the import data page. From here, you can download a template, fill out the template, upload it, and import it. The same thing can be done for contacts and for assets, which we will get to in just a few minutes. So going back to the customer page, we will start with just creating a new customer. I am going to do it Danielle's webinar. You can put in here the identification number if you have. You can add more information and more details. For now, we will skip the other fields. An important one that I do want to talk about is the domains. So you really have the option, and this can be related to the ticketing part of Atera. You can add here any domains that are related to this customer, okay? So that anytime a new ticket comes in with that domain, then the Atera platform will associate that user with the specific customer. Okay, so this can be very beneficial. So for example, I can do here Atera.com, and so any emails that will come from that domain will be recognized under Danielle's webinar. We have here the business ID, phone number, fax, address, and all the basic details of the customer. When we're talking about the billing part of Atera, you have the option to add different contracts for your customers. So this is just giving it a contract name. You have the option to choose what type of contract you would like to add for that specific customer. We support a few types of contracts. I think the most common one is usually the retainer slash flat fee, but you see that anytime you click on all the other options, it gives you kind of a summary and an explanation of that about that type of contract. You can choose the quantity, the billing period, whether it's monthly, bi-monthly, weekly, end of contract duration. You can make different rates for that contract, payment, and the start and end date. Whether it's taxable, you can add different tax rates to be added for that specific contract. I'm going to skip this part. And lastly, we will create a contact for this customer. I'm putting in myself. I will just put in a different email address. And you also have the option to add more details. Cool. So this is the customer that you have created. I will go into one of the existing customers just so that you guys can get more information about each one of them. And we can see what a real customer looks like. So I am going to look at 4Dogs Coding. So the first tab that you see on here is the contacts. Just as I mentioned before, you can create these contacts, and these will be the end users who will be opening the tickets with you guys. This is important. The customer page is very important, and the contact page is an important one, especially if you plan on using the customer portal, which we will discuss a little later. You have the option to sync the contacts using Azure AD. You have the option to import the contacts, as I mentioned before, or create the contacts manually using the new contact button. The ones with the asterisks are considered main contact. The ones that don't are just regular ones, I would say. You also have the contracts that you have created. What's important is to make sure that you have at least one contract that is a default one, so that anytime you are opening a new ticket and later you want to bill that ticket, it will have a contract attached to that ticket. You also have the devices page. So from here, you really see all the devices that are assigned and are under this specific customer. If we go under all, you really can see all of the devices. You can favorite them using the star, but what I do want to show, which I know a lot of customers kind of miss out on, is the folders. Okay, so you have the option to create folders within your customers, and this really allows you to have kind of like a subcategory for within your customers. And the way it really is up to you how you would like to have these folders set up, but you can really create different folders for different needs, whether you can create a folder based on device type. So you can create a folder for servers, another folder for workstations, another folder for laptops, or you can do it based on departments, based on time zones. It really is very, very personal and very customizable. And the reason why I think these folders are important and will save you a lot of time later on is because when you apply the automation profiles and the threshold profiles and configuration policies, which we will talk a bit about a bit later, you'll be able to assign those profiles based on specific folders so that you won't have to assign an automation profile or a patch management to all the devices of a specific customer, but just to specific folders. So in order to create a new folder, we click on this icon, the three dots. You have the option to click on add folder. For our example, let's just create a servers one. I have now created it. Now I want to add any of these devices. I want to add our servers to that folder. So let me just select a few of our servers. So I selected their checkboxes. I will click on this icon, the edit relations with the two opposite arrows. I select the customer and the folder that I have just created and click on save. Now, if I also refresh this page, you will also see that it will show the folder that it belongs to. 1 second. Okay, so you see that it also added the folder to that specific device, and later on you will understand really the advantages of these folders. Feel free to create as many folders as you would like. Just keep in mind that you can only add one device per folder. Antonino, you just asked the question if it's possible to assign more than one folder to a device. So as I just mentioned, you can only apply one device per folder. If we go into the next one, I will quickly go over anything that is on here. You have the Assets tab. The Assets tab really allows you to kind of like have an inventory of any devices that can't be monitored. So it could be, as you can see on here, headphones, chargers, mouses, monitors. You can add any of the assets to specific contacts that you have added to your customers. And this helps you kind of keep track of who has what equipment. We also get into the tickets page. Here you would see all the tickets based on the filters on the top here, but you would see all the tickets that have been opened from this customer, from the contacts of this specific customer. We get into the alerts page. We will talk about alerts a little bit later, but here you would see all the alerts that have been created by the devices that are based on the threshold profiles that are assigned to the devices of this customer. You have here a password manager. You can add here passwords. This is a password manager. This tab is customer this is just for the customer facing passwords, and it is a password manager. It will not autofill anything. It does not integrate with anything. It is just a password manager, but you can also keep passwords on the contact level and also on the device level. I can show that to you guys a bit later. We have the attachments if you ever need to add any documents for this specific customer. And at last, the invoices that have been created for this customer. Cool. What I do want to go into next, I think, will be how to install an agent. So really, when setting up your Atera account, I do recommend to first create your customers, add in all the information regarding your customers, add in the folders for the devices, as I mentioned, just because now when we need to install a new agent, I clicked out here on the top. So you have the option to install agent. You have also the new button on the left, which allows you to create new tickets, new contacts, customers, and also the agent installer. But I'm just going to click here on the install agent. So the first thing that you have to do when installing a new agent is select the operating system. So we support Windows, Mac, and Linux. If you click on next, you can choose the customer of where you would like this new agent to be installed into and assigned to. So for our example, we have the 4Dogs coding, right? That's the one that we have selected. And you also have the option to assign this agent that you are installing into a specific folder so that you don't have to retroactively go back and do it. Once the agent has been added, it will automatically be added to this folder. And the great thing about having everything set up before installing your agents is that anything that you have previously assigned to a specific customer and to a specific folder. So let's say you have created some threshold profiles and automation profiles, and you've assigned them to a specific folder of a specific customer. Any new agents that you add to that folder will automatically have those profiles assigned to them as well. So that can also save you a lot of manual work when it comes to understanding what you should do before. And the last stage is really like downloading the agent itself. So you have three different options. You have the download button, which will download it directly on the device that you're on. The other thing is you have a script that you can run. You can see that because we have selected a specific customer and a specific folder, you see that is included within the script. So you see here the customer name and also the folder name, which we have selected as servers. And lastly, you have the URL link that you can share with your end users, and they can install the agent directly on their device. Cool. Let's go into devices. So after you have added your customers and created your folders and installed the agents, all the agents that you have installed will show up on this page. Right now, I have a filter on here, but if I reset it, this is the list of the devices that I have for all of my customers. You can see that we have the customer name included, we have the folder name included, and this really can give you also a good overview when it comes to knowing what is going on with your devices, whether it's with the alerts, whether it's the available patches. If some of them are with pending reboot, you will see it on here as well. The next thing that I want to talk about maybe a bit more is the filters, because I know some of you might not be aware of the filters button, but you have the very basic filters out on here. But what I do want to focus on is the advanced filters here at the bottom. This allows you to be a lot more specific when you want to search for specific devices and certain conditions. So you really can choose based on when the device was last seen or when it was the device last reboot was. You can search based on IP addresses. So this allows you to be a lot more specific. And if we scroll a little bit more down, you see that we also get to a category called custom fields. So you can create custom fields all across the platform pretty much. You can add it on the agent page or on the ticket page, and filter based on these custom fields so that it really is customizable for your needs. And of course, you can create them, the advanced filters using the and or button and just have different conditions. For our example, I am going to select all the PCs that are currently online. And whenever you filter, you have the option to save as a view whatever you are filtering. This really allows you to kind of have easy access to whatever you're filtering if you're creating very sophisticated filters, and any views that you have saved previously. can be shown in this list. Whenever you're creating a view, you also have the option to make it public so that all the technicians on your account can see it. But if you want to keep it a private one that is only accessible to you, you can make it a private one. Cool. So in order for us to get more information about each one of the devices, we will click on the device name itself, and it will take us to this page, which is the agent page. This also is combined of a lot of different widgets. You have the option to play around with the order of the widgets. You can move some up, you can move some down, really is according to your priorities. We can get a lot of information on this page when it comes to the patching status, if there are any available patches, the alerts based on the threshold profiles that are assigned to this device. You have the overview. We really can get all the information when it comes to the domain, the IP addresses, the hardware. Let me try to see if there is a better example for us. Although, okay, so this one is offline, but still we can get a lot of information regarding it. We see the overview, as I mentioned, the domain, the public IP address, the private IP address, the hardware information, battery life, disks, OS and security, so you can get the antivirus, firewall, all of that on here. You can see also the custom fields that you have created for the agent page and fill them out on here. It is important for me to point out that the custom fields are not created from this page directly. The custom fields can be created from the admin, which I will show in just 2 minutes, I promise. We have the passwords. I mentioned this before. You have the option to add passwords for a specific device and not just on the customer level. You can add attachments and see if there are any monitored devices when it comes to SNMP, TCP, HTTP, and generic devices. They would show up on here. You have the activity log, alerts, and the different profiles that are assigned to this specific device. So for on here, you guys can see that with Atera, we support 3 different types of profiles. They each have their own functionalities and they each have their own limitations, I would say. We will go into detail of each one, but just in general, the threshold profiles are in charge of monitoring and alerting you on anything that you want to be alerted on regarding your devices, whether it's CPU, whether it's temperature, whether it's memory usage, and we will get to that. We have the automation profiles, which includes also patch management. And you can see that you can add as many automation profiles really as you'd like. With threshold profiles, it is limited to just one. And lastly, we have configuration policies. Right now, there isn't one assigned. Let's just assign one. And this will allow you to have more control over your reboots. And that is limited to one as well. Now, in order for you to be able to create custom fields, let me go into admin. So it's here on the left menu. I am going to search for custom fields. And that takes us to this page. You have the option to add the custom fields across the platform. So whether you'd like to add it on the ticketing page, on the customer page, on the contact, contract, SLA, we looked at the agent page. So you can add a field on here. The field could be a text, it could be a number, date, checkbox, drop down with dependencies. And this is a new thing that we actually have added where you have the option to add a custom field on the agent page that is script based. This basically allows you to have run a script that will be the custom field. So if there's anything that you would like to get out of the agent using the script and be able to track it, something that, you know, for some reason we don't have on the platform, you can easily customize it by adding in your own monitoring script. You, of course, have your own script library, but you also have access to our shared script library. These are scripts that have been added by other users. You see that it includes almost 1,000. People can get very creative. You can always clone these scripts, add them to your own library, and from there select them. Cool. Let's go back into the device page. Are there any questions so far? Let me try to look on the Q&A. Okay, I'll continue a little bit more and then we can get into the questions. So as I mentioned, with Atera, we support the three different types of profiles. We have the thresholds, automation profiles, and configuration policies. I will go into each one of these more in detail. So we will actually start with threshold profiles. So in order to configure any of these profiles, it is done through the admin. You go under monitoring and automation. Let me just move my screen a little bit. Sorry for that. And we go into threshold. So from here, you can create a new threshold profile. So anytime we want to create a new profile, we click on add profile. I'm going to give it a name test Danielle. And whenever you create a new threshold profile, this is what the page is going to look like at first. We do have the presets here on the right that allow you to get a list of threshold items that are very, very good, just because they would save you a lot of time. And these are kind of like the defaulty ones. I do recommend they are pretty conservative, which means that if I were just to save this as it is and assign it to my devices, they might create a lot of alerts for you. But you do have the option to hover each one of them and edit them. So for example, if you don't want to be alerted over the CPU load of 95, but you want to be alerted when it gets to 99%, you can change it. You can also change the time period. And you can also add an auto healing script. I will explain what that means in just a few seconds. But I did want to show you that you have the option to edit or delete the threshold items that are included within the presets. Of course, the presets change based on the device type that you have. So you see Mac and laptop and Linux is going to be very, very different from one another. If there are any threshold items that you want to add that are not included in these presets, you have the new item button out here. You can create ones that are a little more specific. I think the more we move to the right, the more specific these threshold items become. So the first one is pretty basic. So it's event-based. This means that anytime a software is installed or anytime a software is uninstalled, or if there are failed login attempts, see this one, for example, as 3 failed login attempts within 5-minute period, it will create an alert for you. You also have the option to choose the alert severity. This is more important when you, later we will focus on the alert settings, but you can decide the alert severity. So this is a pretty basic one. The custom one allows you to be a lot more specific. So you can actually choose a category out on here. So if we talked about the preset and the failed login attempts, which is configured to 3 failed login attempts within a 5-minute period, the custom will allow you to be a lot more specific. So you can actually choose how many failed login attempts. You don't want to be alerted when it comes to 3. You want to be alerted when it comes to 10 and within a longer time period or shorter. But this allows you to be more flexible. And out here, you have the auto healing script, which I mentioned before. And what this allows you to do, we see the same window that we saw before, but what this allows you to do is have a script run as soon as a threshold has been reached. Okay, so this is very, very good for you guys, just because it will save you a lot of time and it allows you to be proactive instead of reactive. So for our example, if the failed login attempts is very, very legit, and people come back from long vacations, they don't remember their password, so you can configure it so that they tried 3 times within, 15 minutes, and you can add a script on here that will allow them to reset their password. And that way you guys don't have to do anything or deal with these situations, but the system will solve it out for you guys. We also have the script-based one, so this is where it gets even more specific. If there's anything that you want to monitor that you could not find in all the other options, you can add a monitoring script, again, from the script library, and apply an auto-healing script that will interact with it as well. So after we've created our threshold items combined of the presets and the new item button, now we want to make sure that we want to assign this to our devices. So for our example, I'm just going to click on the server preset. We've created this threshold profiles for servers. Now I want to assign it to my devices. I would use the profile assignment. Now the profile assignment logic applies to all the profiles, okay, to automation profiles, threshold profiles, and configuration policies. And it allows you to assign profiles based on customers, based on folders, or to specific agents from the agent page that we looked at earlier. But you can assign this threshold profile to all the devices of a specific customer and add it to the list. But it allows you to be even more granular and choose specific folders. So for example, I want to assign this to the servers folders that we have created before and add it to the list. Okay, and click on save, and it will be applied to all the servers that were included within the folder that we created before. Cool. Now, when we're talking about thresholds, we talked about scripts kind of briefly before, but this is, if you click on the scripts page, the scripts tab right above the thresholds on the left menu, you have the option to upload your own scripts. You can click create a new script. So some of you might already have experienced this or tried out our script generator. But this is our AI script generator that allows you to create scripts very easily and fast. So you can, I just used one of the examples out on here, but you can describe what you would like the script to do. Click on generate, it'll give it a name, it'll give it a description, and you can click on create, and it'll add it to your own library. Of course, you also have access to the shared script library that I mentioned before. Now, when we're talking about thresholds and alerts, I do want to go back to the main menu and talk about the alerts page. So from here, we see all the alerts that have been created based on the threshold profiles that have been assigned to your devices. So from the alerts, you have the option to select them with the checkboxes, and you can either delete the alerts, you have the option to resolve them, but you also have the option to snooze. So if there's anything that comes up but you want to take a look at it later, you can snooze it for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 days, and even more. We will take a look at the ticketing a little bit later, but you have the option to create tickets that are based on alerts. So anytime there's something that is relevant as a ticket, you can click on create ticket, create new ticket, and it will actually populate all the information of the alert into the ticket itself. And that way you have the information of the alert accessible within the ticket itself. So if we go back into the admin and we go into alert settings, this is an important page for the alerts, just for you guys to be able to get emails on alerts. You can choose which emails you want to be sent, if they're if the ones that are considered warning or the alerts that are considered critical. If you would like to be send emails on any that were resolved thanks to the auto healing script, you can add that in under resolved. If you only want to be sent these emails during specific hours, feel free to add this as well. And what I showed you just now, being able to manually create tickets based on alerts, you also have the option to add it as an automation. Okay, so anytime a critical alert for specific customers that you can mark will go through, it will actually create a ticket, whether they're critical or warning. Just make sure to click on save whenever you're making changes. And of course, we also have sound alerts for those who want to be very, very alerted. Cool. The next thing that we will take a look at is automation profiles. So this is the second type of profile that I mentioned to you guys. And when we're talking about automation profiles, it includes patch management and IT automation. So we have this page. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, there are two important things that I want to point out on this page. You have this part of the screen that allows you to exclude patches globally. Okay, so you have the option to manage and select any patches that you want to be you want to exclude from all the profiles that you will create. So if there are for sure any patches that you don't want to have installed on your devices, this is where you would be able to select them. Of course, you can search based on KB, class, size, or any other option with the fields. We have the settings out here at the bottom right, which basically allows you to choose a time frame for what happens whenever an automation was supposed to run and was scheduled. It will allow you to choose how long that automation will be in queue until that device is back online again. Keep in mind that this is a general setting and it applies to all the profiles that you will create. So just kind of choose one that fits all, basically. So I will go into an existing one just because do you want to, let's just click on one of them. It doesn't really matter. But whenever you're creating an automation profile, this is what it's going to look like. You have the option to schedule an automation. You can add schedules here based on different frequencies. You can do a daily, weekly, monthly. You can add more than one schedule if you'd like. For those of you who have different customers with devices across the world, this is an important note for me to make. Whenever you select a day and a time, the time that you see on here is the time of the account, okay? So if we go into my account and in the account settings, for now, the time zone, this is the time zone that we have for this account. So anything that you guys schedule will be according to the time zone of the account. So if you have devices across different time zones, just make sure that you are calculating the correct time so that it doesn't go when you're not expecting it to go. You also have the option to run the automation right away. And this checkbox, the run the profile on newly installed agents, is a very, very useful one, especially whenever you are onboarding either new employees or new customers or any new device that has been added to the Atera platform. This is a good checkbox, and I recommend using it. When we're talking about automation profiles, our best practice is really to create different automation profiles for different tasks. We wouldn't recommend to add all the tasks under one profile. I mentioned this before. You can really add as many profiles as you need per device, as many automation profiles as you need per device. So feel free to split them up into different profiles as you prefer, and of course according to the schedule that makes sense the most. So we really do have the patch management tasks on here. We have software management, so this allows you to update softwares that have been installed through Chocolatey, or whenever you guys click on the question mark icon on across the platform, you will see the learn more, and it will direct you to the knowledge base article of that specific page. So from here, you can also see a list of softwares that will be updated using that checkbox, regardless if they were installed through Atera. Okay, so there's the generic ones like Google Chrome, Zoom, Firefox. So this is what this checkbox will do. You also can create different software bundles for different softwares that you want to have installed on your devices. We use Chocolatey for Windows and Homebrew for Macs. So you have the option to create these bundles, upgrades, disk management, maintenance. You also have the option to run a script based on an automation. We talked about scripts before when it comes to threshold profiles, but this is more related to when you would like to have things being automated and on a scheduled basis. Here at the bottom right, you have the option to manage the OS patch approval settings. If we click on manage and let's click on save and continue, it will take you to this page. So what this allows you to do is kind of have more control over what happens with any Windows critical updates or Windows non-critical updates. You have the option to always have them approved. So usually when there are critical updates, we would want them to always be approved. For non-critical updates, you have the option to postpone them for however many days before they will be auto-approved. Any excluded and postponed patches would show up down here, and then you would be able to either approve or exclude them further. Before I mentioned being able to exclude OS patches globally. So for all the profiles, if there are any patches that you want to exclude just specifically for this profile for ABC test, you would be able to search for the KB on here and select the ones that you want to have excluded just for this specific profile. The profile assignment for automation profiles, it's the same logic that we saw before. You click on the profile assignment button on here. You can do it based on customers, specific folders, or specific agents from the agent page. And the last thing I want to mention while we're on this page is the reboot if needed checkbox that applies to patch management. So in order for some patches to be fully installed on the device, they might require a reboot. Basically, if this checkbox is selected along with the checkboxes for patch management, it means that the reboot will start pretty much immediately for those patches to be installed. Now, what a lot of customers miss out on is the last profile that we support, which is a configuration policy. A configuration policy will allow you to control when this reboot, if needed, will go through. It doesn't need to happen immediately, but you will be able to have more control over it or allow your end users to have more control over it so no one has their computer shut down without knowing or without any kind of message or announcement. So basically, anytime that you select the reboot if needed checkbox along with the patch management tasks, I highly recommend to create a configuration policy. So this is the last type of profile that we support. I click on configuration policy on the left menu. I will mention that configuration policies are Windows specific. So this will not be supported with Macs, but you will be able to create a name for the configuration policy description. And from here, you can configure what you would like to happen with the reboot. Okay, so instead of it kicking in immediately for those patches to be installed, you can choose that the restart will happen outside of active hours. You can disable this auto restart if there are any logged on users. You can even allow your end users to control when the device restart. You can prompt them every however many minutes, force restart after however many prompts, and even customize a message to your end users. You also have control over the Windows update settings, and just make sure to assign this configuration policy to your devices. Two things, again, when it comes to configuration policies, in order for them to fully be functional, in order for them to function as you expect, you may have to make sure that they are assigned to your devices, but you also have to make sure that the reboot if needed checkbox is selected for those devices as well. Otherwise, the configuration policy will not be recognized. And I think we will go into the PSA part of Atera. We went over most of the RMM, so over customers, how to create different folders, the devices, the different profiles. I do encourage you guys to go over the knowledge base articles, wherever you guys see the learn more button. As I mentioned before, I will direct you to the knowledge base article of that specific topic. Cool, so let's head into the ticketing system. I will answer questions at the end, hopefully. I hope I have enough time for that. But if not, you guys have Ariel, and he's a big help of mine. So thank you, Ariel. I hope your keyboard isn't breaking. Cool. So we have the tickets page. This is the view of all the tickets that have already been opened. You have the option to create tickets that will be sent out later, so to schedule tickets. Let's just kind of look at what a new ticket looks like. I will mention that we have multiple ways of creating new tickets on the platform. So the first one is really from the ticket page. You also have the option to configure the support and ticketing part of Atera, which includes the email settings. So this is very, very important for those of you who plan to use the ticketing system or haven't used it and want to set it up. You would first start with this page, just because this will allow any tickets that you have sent to your inbox to be created into the Atera platform. So if you go into email settings, we have a few things on here. The first thing that you would need to fill out is your own support address. So currently, where are the support tickets being sent to? And what you would have to do is you would have to create a forwarding rule, whether it's with Outlook or whether it's with Gmail, so that any emails that are sent to your own support address will be forwarded to the auto-generated support address. This is a unique support address that has been created just for your account, and any email that is sent to this address will automatically open a ticket on the platform. So you would just need to create a forwarding rule that tickets will be sent from this email address to this email address, and that way tickets will be opened on the platform. You can change the outgoing email domain. If right now the default is no reply at Atera. If you have more than one support address, you can add the additional customer support addresses on here. Depends on your tier. Some tiers are limited to how many you can add. Again, make sure to create the forwarding rule for those email addresses as well. And from here, you have the contact email settings. Feel free to go over those and kind of understand what they are. They are pretty self-explanatory, but you can create an email template that will be sent to any newly added contact. You can auto-create new contact whenever an incoming email is. This relies on the domain that I mentioned before that you can add to each one of your customers. So this is just another way of opening tickets. Of course, another way that can be that tickets can be opened is through our help desk agent. I cannot show you on mine because we currently only have it available for Windows, but it is going to be out for Macs as well. Let me just kind of open up the knowledge base article for it. But the Atera help desk agent can be activated through the platform. So if we go into the devices page, you can select the ones that you would like to activate them for. So you just select them, and from here, activate the devices that can be supported. Right now, it's Windows. And this basically will allow the devices to have a widget that has your logo that can be changed through the white label settings on our platform. And from there, they would be able to authenticate it and open a new ticket, and that will get directly into the Atera platform. So that is the help desk agent. I also mentioned before the customer portal, just really quickly for you guys to understand how that works. We have the customer portal. From here, you have the domain. This screen might look a little bit different for all of you, just because this is a demo environment and some things we are testing out and some things are in beta. So there are exciting new things coming your way, but for now, you'll probably only see the domain and SSL, knowledge base, and ticketing tab. But anytime you would like to use the customer portal and share it with your customers, you just copy the URL. I already have it open just so that we can save a bit of time, but whenever any of your users will want to log in, they'll be able to log in using their email. They'll get a verification link to their mailbox, and here they would see any tickets that they have previously opened with you guys, and also have access to a knowledge base that you can build out yourself. Let me just refresh that. Of course, you can enable the ticketing or knowledge base however you'd like. If you only want it to be accessible to some of your customers and not to all of them, you have the option to do it. And this is the knowledge base, and they have access to any of the articles. So those are just a few ways where tickets can be open. But if we go into the ticketing part of Atera, this is the ticket that has been created from here. You see it's Wi-Fi. Some things that can be done on here. First of all, you have the option to publicly reply. Some of you might find the internal note useful so that you can communicate internally. We see all the information regarding the contact here on the right. We see the device We also will be able to remote connect into the device if it is online. You have the option to create different form templates. Okay, so for here, you have the checklist. This is a German one, but you can create different forms for your tickets, and that way only some fields will show up, and that can be a good help just to make sure that you are getting all the details from your customers whenever they open a new ticket on the portal. Cool. Another thing that I wanted to show, so as I mentioned before, we have our AI, and one of our AI capabilities includes the Copilot. So the Copilot really can help out with summarizing a ticket. Right now, there isn't a lot of that conversation within this ticket, but you see that it kind of summarizes it. It'll also allow you to kind of troubleshoot and be able to create a response for the user. Okay, so for example, here was a Wi-Fi issue, so it really gives you a summary. You can always copy and paste it and reply to the customer itself. One other thing that I wanted to mention when we're talking about ticketing before we get into billing, I do recommend to go through the other things on here. There's a lot to cover when it comes to ticketing. We do have webinars just on ticketing. So if you feel like you need to get like deep into it, I would recommend either watching the ones that exist or sign up to any upcoming ones. You also have the ticket settings where you can create and set up what you would like the tickets to look like, the ticket forms that I might have mentioned, email templates. You also have ticket automation rules so that you can create rules based on triggers on different conditions and different actions that we'll go through. The last thing that I want to mention is the billing part of Atera. So before we click on the billing part of Atera, two things that are important to point out when it comes to billing. So I would recommend to first set up your business hours. So business hours, of course, will allow you to put in the different hours that you or the other technicians work. Like Monday, Tuesday, the weekdays and the hours that you guys work. And the reason why the business hours are important are for the SLAs, or SLAs, for those of you who don't know, are service level agreements. And this allows you to kind of have a time frame for and have expectations with your customers for how long it will take you until you first respond to a ticket and until it is closed. You have different impacts on here. You can customize it however you'd like. You can create SLAs just for crisis or just for site down. It really is up to you. But the SLAs rely on the business hours that we create. That we have just created. So just make sure that whenever you're creating a new SLA, you set a calendar and choose the business hours that apply with that SLA. And if you go back into the ticketing part of Atera, you will see that the SLAs show up on here. So it is very visible for you and the other people on your team to know how long you have left. You will see also within the ticketing, the contract based on the default contract of that specific customer. If you want to change it into a different contract, and this ticket will be billed according to the conditions of the contract that was selected. Now, very, very quickly, we'll go over billing. If we go into billing, a few things that you see on here, what we do recommend is to have anything that is billable done through the tickets. Okay, so from the tickets, as I mentioned, you can time track how long you have worked on a ticket. It will be billed according to the rates that you have set up under the contract. You can always add products and expenses. So if there are any products and expenses that you want to add, let's say, I don't know, a firewall, or it could be a new printer, you can always add that to the ticket and it would show up within the invoices. But if we go back into the billing part, you will see that you have the option to create a new invoice. So anything, let's say there was something that you want to bill the customer for, but you don't have an existing ticket for it, you can always create a new invoice. But the main thing that we focus on is the invoice batch. So what the invoice batch allows you to do is to create a batch for customers for with different contracts. And usually what we do recommend to do is to have kind of like to create an invoice batch for each one of your customers per month. Just that way it can be very, very organized and help you out. You'll see that some of these are with a lock sign, just because these contracts are, the time period is not billable just yet. So it's the billing time is not until August 1st, or the end of the month, or the biweekly, or whatever you have set up in the contract terms. So for our example, I'm going to select for 4Dogs Coding, the contract name. We would like to save it as the customer name, so 4Dogs Coding, and we want to bill them for July 2024. Now we can click on Run. You will see here the breakdown. We don't have more examples right now, but you will see here a breakdown of all the contracts and how much we can bill them for. If you have more than one customer, you can decide that it would create one invoice per customer. You can choose that the invoice will be grouped by either the contract name, the tickets, just like I showed before, that you can bill based on tickets or different time entries, and you can click on Generate Invoices. Now you have the option to export these invoices. So we have, for the second tier and up, for growth and up, you have the option to integrate with QuickBooks Online and Xero. We do have the full integration with QuickBooks Online and Xero. With Desktop, you will be able to get an export that you can later input into QuickBooks Desktop, and most of the things are compatible on there. For those of you who don't have an integration with either of them, you have the general CSV that you can use. Cool. Do we have a few more minutes? Yes. Okay. So I'll just very, very quickly go into reports. We have under the reports page, we have the classic reports and the advanced reports. I'll focus more on the classic reports. So two good things that I would recommend for you guys as MSPs. So first off, under the profitability, you have a few on here that can be useful for you to know how your technicians are solving tickets under the timesheet report. So you can basically get a breakdown of all the tickets that have been resolved within a certain time frame. So let's, for example, choose the last 60 days, click on Generate. Of course, you can filter out, and this really gives you a breakdown of all the tickets that have been resolved by your technicians. They'll give you the ticket ID, the customer name. Sometimes if I know that some MSPs like to share this report with their own customers, just so that they know what you guys are working on. You can get the contact name, technician name, the resolved date, that it was resolved, that it was billable, if it was invoiced, the taxable, and how many hours were worked on that specific ticket. Any of our classic reports can be exported using Excel or PDF, and you can also schedule reports so that they will be sent to you for whenever you schedule them for it. And the last report that I will talk about is the auditor report. This allows you to get a breakdown of all of your devices of a specific customer. So if we click on customer name and click on Generate, you see that it gives you a breakdown of all the stations that you have, how many workstations, Macs, servers, Linux, and really kind of like an inventory for each one of these devices. If you scroll all the way down, you even get a breakdown of individually of each one of these devices. Cool.
So Danielle, I know that you could continue all day, and I know all of you would want to continue with Danielle, but unfortunately our time has ended for today. You're more than welcome to join more webinars. We have webinars every single week. We're going to launch a short survey, which is really, really useful for us, and that's how we learn and make these webinars better. And so it's really, really important. I just launched it. Please finish it. It takes a few seconds to finish. And that's all we have time for today, unfortunately. And thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ariel. And I hope this was a useful session for you guys. And I hope to see you soon.